Hello DevOps people! Welcome to Full Stack Live. I'm Jochen, the Monospace Mentor, and welcome to my channel. It's Tuesday, so it's another live coding stream, or rather a live sysadmin stream today, because I'm mostly going to do some chores that I need to do. For example, to make sure the newly set up Monospace Mentor community platform is not going to suddenly lose all its data. I.e., we need to set up backup for our discourse platform, and that's an important step before I actually launch the community, which is going to happen probably start of next month. Because there's still quite a bit of work to do in terms of content and making everything nice and cozy so that new community members can settle in and basically hit the ground running without having to first wait for things to start taking off. Because this community is something that I'd like to do on a professional level. It's not just like a, setting up a Discord server or something like that, where you simply put out the URL and ask people to join in, and some will stay and some won't, and it's not really managed properly. I really want to do professional community management for this Monospace Mentor community, because it is going to be about leveling up engineering careers, and that's a serious topic, and these are ambitious goals that I'd like to support with this community. And as professional, this community is going to be set up from a community management standpoint. Of course, it also needs to be set up nicely in a technological sense as well. And that means having a backup and making sure that this backup actually does work and can be restored. So that's one of the tasks that I'm going to do today. Another chore that I have to do is going to be setting up another Mastodon instance for the Mastodon I run the geekdom.social Mastodon instance, and I need a separate webhead to debug an issue that members have noticed recently. And since I need to get a debug log, I can't do that on the production instances. I need to run a separate one, at least temporarily, and that's also something that I'd like to get done. Hello Moo, hello iNode, how is it going? I hope you're doing well on this rather rainy day here in Ireland. Unfortunately, I had to walk through the drizzle to get my lunch and coffee. It's not too bad, but it's also not very inviting to go outside, and I definitely did not do my 5k walk today, even though that's going to break my streak. But yeah, I couldn't be bothered to go out in the drizzle. That's not really nice, especially first thing in the morning. I rather had my coffee and enjoyed being dry inside. I hope you'll forgive me for this bit of laziness, but yeah, sometimes you just need to give yourself a break. All right, so including the weather, 20 degrees. Wowzers, that's amazing. That's already spring settling in at your place, isn't it? Okay, I guess we'll go right away. Let me think if there's anything else that I'd like to update you on. No, I don't think so. Yeah, so let's get going. The first thing that I need to find out is how to properly back up discourse. So let's go and do a search for exactly that. Create, download, and restore a backup. That's exactly what I'm looking for. May 23 seems to be recently up to date. Discourse backups include the full site database, which contains everything on the site. Yeah, that's the most important thing. Discourse being a Rails application, it will mostly depend on Postgres. Yeah, I think it's no coincidence that we are doing mostly the same thing. So we can exchange experience in a few days. What do you mean with an invitation for flu viruses? I mean, if the nice weather gets you outside, you're much less likely to catch the flu than being bottled up inside, isn't it? Nice one, Moo. Nice one. Great. Yeah, of course. I mean, if you can rely on stuff being already available in Chef, then it would be silly not to go for it. Alrighty, so create the backup. So go to the admin backup section of your site and click the backup button. Sites uploads in the backup. Download the backup. Upload a backup, restore a backup. But yeah, that's fine. And I'll definitely do something like that once I've set up the community. Yeah, I mean, S3 is an option too. I'm not sure if one is better than the other. I guess I'll find out. So maybe I need to add automated backup. Configuring daily backups. Set backup frequency to 1. Store backups on the locals. Oh, here we go. Store backups on S3 compatible storage. You can configure this either in the admin panel settings or if you're managing a self-hosted instance, also as an environment variables in app.yaml. Okay. That might actually be the thing that I'm going for, because that's probably going to be the easiest way to get things going. So we'll have to have the S3 credentials ready. And then we can basically set this up in the admin interface of Discourse. That's nice. I was considering simply having local backups and then setting up some kind of say, SFTP-based backup or something like that. Oh, that's great news, Moo. I was half expecting it to work on 2204 because of all the updates we did recently, but I don't think I ever tried that. Oh, just heard the doorbell ringing, so that's going to be my son. And since my wife's sick in bed, she got the cold, I'll have to run for a minute. I'll be right back. And I'm back. So, let's see. That's the... I guess that's the admin interface-based setup, and then there's the environment variable-based setup, where users3 is the flag. We'll need a URL and a bucket name. If you only want to use S3 for backups and not for uploads, you can omit the following parameters. Oh, these parameters, okay. But question is how we're going to deal with uploads. Might simply use S3 for everything. In that case, I guess we'll simply set up S3 in general. And then we'll set backup location to S3 as well, and that's going to take care of that. What was this up here somewhere? Warning. Storing backups and regular uploads in the same bucket and folder is no longer supported and will not work. Yeah, I guess we'll need different folders then. Bucket path should only be used for backups. If you need to use a bucket that contains other files, please make sure that you provide a prefix when you configure the backup bucket setting. For example, bucket / and then backups. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Otherwise, things will end up in an unhealthy mix, I guess. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. And as always, let's not make this a 2-hour or 3-hour monologue on my side. If there's anything that you'd like to ask or anything that you'd like to share, pop into chat. Let's make this thing interactive, shall we? Okie dokie. Yeah, that all looks like it's reasonably simple. I guess famous last words, but yeah. It'll just require me to do a little bit of work behind the scenes, because all of this stuff basically is about authorization, and of course I don't want to leak any secrets here. And I'll have to look up how to set up a new bucket on our Minio cluster, because I think by now I've forgotten about how to do that. Tiberian claims that everyone here is good guys. I would assume so, but you never know. Yeah, I guess I'll set up 2 different buckets, and we'll get that done in one single task. Okay, so yeah, so please excuse me while I look up how to actually do these things. Hey Silver Havoc, how you doing? Welcome to the stack. Today we are going to, for example, set up the backup for the Monospace Mentor community. So the community platform is at monospacementor.com/community, and this is a newly set up discourse instance that will be launched in beginning of March is my current estimate, and until then there's still a lot of content work to do, and also some sysadmin work, and so I definitely don't want to lose months or even years worth of community contributions, and that means we need to set up backup And that was what I just looked up, how to do backup for discourse. And it's surprisingly simple. I didn't expect it to be that simple, but basically if you can rely on an S3 compatible object store, then you can simply say, okay, store all the uploads as well as the backups in a specific bucket. And that's basically it. And then you set your backup frequency and you're done. That is quite easy, and it'll require me to look a few things up, especially how to set up a new bucket on my company's Minio cluster. And then I have to do that and write down a few secrets. And then we'll set this backup up and see if it works. Ezrak, welcome to the stack. Thank you for the follow. That's very kind of you. We didn't get any alert again for some reason. What's going on here? Let me see. Is Stream Elements taking a break again? Need to check this quickly. So let's launch a test alert. I think I know what's happening. Yeah. Just a second. Okay, I see what's happening. I think... yeah, item is complaining that I can't connect to OBS. For some reason, I had connection issues with OBS before I started the stream, so let me quickly see if we can resolve that. Ah, here we go.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
That's my test. And things should be working now. Let's go back here. Enhan Codes, welcome to the stack. Good to have you. Thank you. Yeah, put a lot of work into the whole OBS setup here. I mean, it took me a few years, and yeah, I'm very happy with it, and I'm glad to see that you like it. Thank you for the kind words. Okay, yeah, so excuse me while I put up the privacy screen, because yeah, there are a few things that we need to do. I guess I'll simply switch to talk mode anyway, so at least you get better look at me in the chat. Einot writes, we had a discussion last time about programming languages, and I thought exploring the roots again with Bash, and it's pretty great. Awesome! So you did some Bash scripting. It's very useful, even though you probably remember that I spoke out against programming in Bash. For small stuff, you can't beat Bash. The only caveat I would put there is don't go overboard. If it's getting a little bit more complex, then you should switch to a proper programming language, and I would recommend either choosing Ruby or Python. Corn shell Silver Havoc. That's antique. Very nice. Yeah, Bash is like that. It's very easy and very quick. You get a solution quite quickly. The problem is, since Bash is not and has never been intended as a proper programming language, as soon as things get complex, your shell script will become unwieldy, and then you'll start using the more advanced features of Bash, like using functions and things like that, to at least get a little bit of maintainability in there, and then you'll be at the same level of programming as with a proper programming language, but with a bad programming language. And so that's why I recommend not missing the jumping off point to actually do some proper scripting. Silver Havoc is perfectly right. Bash is excellent until it's not anymore. And the problem is that when you realize that you're reaching the limits of your shell, then it's basically too late. You should have switched a while before that. And Uncodes asks, Bash 2.0? I mean, there are several versions of Bash. You mean if a new shell would help with that? I'm not sure, because the shell, be it Bash or Z shell or Fish, does what it's supposed to do, which is offering a command line interface to the operating system. Other than that, I'd simply use a scripting language from the shell. If you're actually looking for something that takes a newer approach or a more modern approach than Bash or the other shells, then have a look at GNU Shell, which is a very interesting approach. I'll have to do a stream or maybe even a YouTube video on GNU Shell eventually, because it's really interesting. I'm not sure if it's ever going to become really popular, but it's definitely worth a look. Python is great. Python is a great language, and it's so versatile, and that's why I recommend using either Python or Ruby, because on a superficial level they're basically the same, and have very sensible approaches to scripting and things like that. And Anonymously 001, welcome to the stack. Problem with Bash is my anti-malware script, malware keeps blocking it when I run a simple script. Then your anti-malware might be a little bit overzealous. Shouldn't kick in just because of a harmless Python script. Okay, so let me go and check my notes. Didn't write too much down there, did I? No, not really. Okay. That means I need to write something down. Okay, that means we can actually, quickly do some housekeeping here. We can actually go and check the Minios CLI documentation. Yeah, the MC command is what I'm going to use. And what we're going to do is we need to set up users and then buckets for these users. And that's done with mcadmin. mcadmin user will allow me to add a new user. And that requires me to define a new secret as well, because I need to use that as an argument to the mcadmin command. Parameters, access key. That is the new user, I guess. Folks, your documentation is not consistent. This command should read mcadmin user add alias access key secret key, because that's actually what's displayed here. The alias is the Minio deployment, which is usually the deployment you're running the command on, and then we'll use an access key and a secret key as the Yeah, here it's actually correct. Hello, Balthazar. Welcome. Yeah, that's the example tab. Oh, you mean these would be actual values here. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. If I switch to syntax, then this parameter block here is actually consistent with what's up here. Okay, fine. Still confusing. Okay, so I'm really hoping for some shell history there, because yeah, I haven't added stuff to our Minio instance in a while, and I didn't document almost anything, so yeah, I need to rely on my actual shell remembering how I did things, with, like, for example, dealing with policies and things like that. Okay, so once I've added a user, it should be pretty straightforward. So it's going to be, you know what? I think I'm going to write this down. Oh wait, the tat command, which is only supposed to give me a shell session, and now I should be able to say knowledge base minio.md, and now I can actually do these things. up a new user. So this is going to be MC admin. I'm not sure what the alias is. What did I use as an alias? I'll have to look that up when I'm on the machine. MC admin user add alias. Oh, well, I'll write it this way. Secret key, and I'll have to add a few more commands to actually create or generate these values. Add a new user account, and then attach a user policy. That's going to be done with MC admin policy attach, or using a group. Not sure if I actually set up groups on our menu account, because so far I only created a small number of very disparate buckets there. So I don't think I did actually create groups, but this is becoming more of a valid option here. So MC admin policy attach default user policy. This is a JSON file, so let's do it like this, and then we'll have to basically create a new bucket, create a new bucket, attach the standard bucket policy. So that's going to be another command that I'll have to look up. It's probably, we'll see. One step after the other. Standard policy definition. That's the only thing that I actually did document, and the important thing is that we'll allow public access to this bucket. That's at least for public buckets. So for example, I'm using this definition for my Mastodon instance, because the object store actually needs to serve the media assets directly, and so this bucket needs to have public access. Even though I don't actually see that being the case. Maybe, yeah, I'll have to check that too. It's, I guess, over a year since I last did this. Okay, I guess policy attach won't work if we don't also pass a user or an access key for that matter. So let's see. That's going to be attach target policy or -- user user. Wait, oh. How does that actually work? There are built-in policy. Oh, I guess. Okay. And with that -- user, I can actually pass in the. Okay. Now, what is target then? Target is the alias of a configured menu deployment. with the user or group for which that's basically the alias again. It's just another term for alias, as far as I can see. Okay, so that's then going to be alias -- user access key, and then it's not going to be a JSON file actually, because I think we can get by with the built-in policies, which is probably going to be read-write. And that is just okay, and it's policies first and then finally the user. That's a strange order of arguments actually. Let's see examples. MC admin policy attach. My menu is again the alias. Yep, they're using target and alias interchangeably, and then it's read only, and then the user. Okay, okay, fine. So we'll take this and append it here. I think I simply used local as the alias, if I remember that correctly. It's coming back slowly, but I still have to verify that. Okay, so this user will then have read-write access to the bucket. No. That user will have read-write access to what exactly? To everything? Yeah, read-write is going to be everything for all buckets and objects. No, I'm not going to create an admin user here. Okay, so we still have to define a little bit more restricted policy. Okay, yep, then in that case, I think it's the better order to actually set up the bucket first, either with a policy that keeps stuff private, or with one that allows serving objects to the public, and then setting up a new user, because standard policy for a specific, or for access to a specific bucket, will then be something that we'll have to actually pass in here. Okay. Now, let's return to the bucket topic. I'll compare that to my shell history, basically, to see how I set up the previous buckets and users. And then we'll have to update the documentation, but first let's research the most basic things. Identity and access management, bucket replication. No, not going to go that far. I guess it's object management. core administration concepts, I guess. That's just the documentation, how Minio works in general. Yeah, I was struggling with that before, I think. Minio Console is the graphical or web framework, web UI. Oh, very strange. Minio add net backup. In this case, the end goal is going to set up a backup, but first we'll need. Oh, that's a different sub command. That's MB for manage bucket. I guess. Yep. Creates a new bucket or directory at the specified path. So that's MC MB alias. And then the... I see, an alias is a target combined with a path or a bucket name. So there is a difference after all. Specify the... no, the alias is the target, okay. It's a little bit inconsistent here. Still, create a new... Oh, create the bucket. That's going to be MC MB alias slash bucket. If you're using Amazon AWS S3, I think that is the case, and bucket name, since it's the top level name here, has to be unique globally, which isn't too easy. I used to prefix business name or something like that in front of my bucket simply to generate something unique. But here I'm going to use Minio, which is an S3 compatible object store, which is open source. And I've already set up a Minio cluster for my Mastodon instance, geekdom.social. And so I'm going to reuse that cluster because, yeah, why not? It's already a 3-node cluster, which is highly available, and it has lots of storage. So I don't have to set up anything additionally, and that way it amortizes more nicely. Since it's my own S3 compatible object store, I can name my buckets whatever I like. And that's makes things a little bit more convenient. So that is that. Let's see how we're going to go on then. Oh, MB is just make bucket, huh? It's not manage bucket, it's just make bucket. And question is, the bucket itself needs to have a policy too. How do we set that? I guess my shell history might help me more quickly than the documentation here. Okay. I guess it's time to log in and take a look. Looks like I set up another alias here. Okay. But so far, MB alias / bucket name is correct. Let's see how we deal with policies. Yeah, I need to use MC admin policy set. And the bucket name.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
Beam 128, welcome to the stack. I appreciate you following me. Okay, so let me see. Is this a file name? Not really. It looks... Could it be that we need to add a policy from a file? And then we can set this policy that's now imported from a file for a specific user. That does make sense. Okay. Have fun on your walk, Moo. Theo, how you doing? Welcome. I'm setting up a an S3 bucket to have object storage for my Monospace Mentor community platform, which is going to launch, I guess, in early March. And in order to not lose everyone's data, I need to make sure, among other things, that we have a backup in place. And since I already am running a cluster for S3 compatible storage, I'm going to reuse that, but actually I have forgotten everything about that, so I need to refresh my memory here. It looks like the policy that I documented in my notes is the one that I used for my own cast stream. I'm streaming to Twitch and YouTube and my own cast stream at the same time, and the Owncast stream is also using the object storage. You're right, the web-based frontend is definitely also available, but especially in order to automate things, I want to get this down, and I need to have that documented for the rest of the team anyway. So far, this Minio cluster was more or less a solo project for myself, but now that we are also setting up a Discourse instance as our product community platform for the hosting business, I need to share how to deal with these things, because yeah, that has been something that I did for myself, and that's not really great role modeling there. So let me see. The policy that I had documented is pretty much the policy that we used for the bucket. And let me see, is there anything? Yeah. I think I'll do this like this. So
It's a Unix system. I know this.
Reggie, how nice of you to follow. Thank you. Welcome to the stack. That seems to be actually the standard policy definition for public buckets, and we'll have to not only attach the standard bucket policy, we also need to import the bucket policy. So if I'm right, and I need to verify that using the documentation, then we'll first have to import the policy from a JSON file, which is going to require mcadmin. So let's go back a few steps here. Where's the admin documentation again? Here we are, mcadmin policy create. Here we have some kind of a JSON file that will mostly differ in terms of the resources that are going to be impacted here. So this resource value here will have the bucket name in it normally, and that way we'll have to import the bucket policy.
It's a Unix system.
Jazz Maniac, welcome to the stack. I'm using Ubuntu LTS. We've been running our managed hosting platform for 13 years on Ubuntu LTS, and it has served us well. My workstation here is running Fedora Silverblue because I really like these new so-called immutable distributions. But for my production infrastructure, I tend to use either Ubuntu LTS, or I've been making a few attempts at also introducing a current Debian version, simply to be prepared for when Ubuntu will inevitably screw up something and we might want to switch to a different distribution. Debian will be definitely the best alternative there. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, it took me quite a while to build that follower alert. I had to actually learn some JavaScript for that, and I'm very happy that it's done. And I hope I have backups for that too. RJ! No, I don't. Well, I did use Arch, by the way, back in the day. When I first set up Linux on my workstation here, I actually chose Manjaro Linux just because it was so popular. And so back then, I actually did use Arch. And I did enjoy the availability of software for Arch, the wide availability with the AUR. On the other hand, eventually I ran into issues where packages were in conflict to each other and I couldn't update my machine anymore. And that created enough friction for me to actually switch distributions. And then I decided to, well, wait, did I first install Fedora Workstation? I assume I did, because yeah, I didn't quite immediately take the jump to Fedora Silverblue. So I think I installed Fedora Workstation on my laptop and started. I think I already started using that in parallel to my Manjaro Linux workstation. And since I had good experiences with Fedora Workstation, then I actually think I switched to Fedora Silverblue for my workstation. And yeah, so far I've been very happy with Fedora Silverblue, especially with the community images from Universal Blue, which are awesome. They include everything that I need, including NVIDIA drivers and everything. And yeah, it's been serving me very well, and I didn't have any issues so far. Mostly because most of the change is isolated and happening either in Fedora, in Flatpaks for the graphical applications, or in Toolbox or DistroBox containers for my development environment. So what you see here on screen, for example, the terminal here is running inside a Fedora workstation development container. And if I screw that up, I can simply recreate the container, but it doesn't affect my host system in any way. And I love that. Being able to have peace of mind that my machine is going to work tomorrow as well. Even if I tend to install something that might screw other things up, it'll be contained within the container. And these more cloud-native approaches to running your local workstation are really useful because, of course, yeah, we're taking the same approach in the cloud as well, don't we? Exegete, good to have you. Welcome to the stack. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're doing great. So, yeah, so we need to do a MC admin policy create, and in that case it's alias and policy.json, and I also need to name it, so call it my bucket policy, my not backup bucket policy.json, and we'll do it in one stroke here. Import the bucket policy and attach it to the bucket, so we can actually get rid of this. Here we need to say MC admin policy attach. How does attach work? That's target. Not sure why they use target in one place and alias in the other. If they are actually the same. And I just realized I'm actually repeating the user setup. What did I do? Wait, create a new bucket. And here it says bucket access for user. So that's the user policy. Okay. That's not the policy for public buckets at all. Okay, that makes sense. So create user for the new bucket. Standard policy definition for, that's not public bucket, that's bucket access. That does make more sense because I was wondering where exactly this policy would allow public access, which it doesn't at all. It just says assign list, put, get, and delete permissions for this particular bucket. And here we'll have to choose a proper SID. And then we can create this bucket policy, and then we can attach it to the user. So I'll close this here, and actually that heading goes away. After we've imported the bucket policy, we can create a new user account, and then we'll attach the user policy. And now this is the policy that we've created up there, my bucket policy. For the user access key, that does make sense. So all we're missing now is the policy that we need for public buckets. For public or for buckets serving objects to the public, change its policy, and now we'll have to find out how to do that. My bucket admin access. Okay. And we'll call that buckets serving objects to the public need to have the following policy. So this is going to be a JSON file, and then we'll have to find out which command we'll need to apply this policy. I guess I'll use search to find this. Minio bucket public access. Let's see. Oh, okay. There's an actual command that does this. MC anonymous set public my_public, and public is the bucket name again. That's the alias bucket name combination for anonymous access to a bucket. So we don't have to define a policy after all. Let's look this up. MC anonymous, where is it? MC admin. I guess that's the Minio client. Yeah, MC anonymous. The MC anonymous command supports setting or removing anonymous policies to a bucket and its contents. Brilliant. Yeah, okay. So I can set an access policy. And in this case, I probably want to set read, the predefined read policy, right? Let's go back to, oh, wait. That's here. Public. Really? Is there a public policy? Let's see. Upload, download, yeah, public. Okay. Let's see. None is disabling the anonymous access. Download is download only. Upload only, which is also interesting. It's more like a mailbox then. Public is download and upload access. Oof, okay, yeah, you don't really want to have public for something like like a website or something. So I guess what we'll need for our discourse is going to be download, but that will also allow download of the backup folder. I do not really like that. So as at least if we combine, or if we use the same bucket for backups and uploads, that's not really going to be viable, I think. Except if I do it in a more granular way, on a per folder basis. Hey Potatoes, how you doing? And yes, the streamer world, especially the IT engineering streamer world is still small. Theo actually did an interview with me recently, so check out Theo's Discord to find the recording of that. Which reminds me that I wanted to upload that to my own YouTube channel as well, and I completely forgot about that. Let me write that down, actually. Publish interview recording. Okay. Now, yeah, I'll verify if I did use download for the existing buckets, and in our case, I'll need to find out if Discourse actually lets the object store serve asset files that have been uploaded, or if they go back through Discourse. If that's the case, we don't need any kind of public or anonymous access. But in order to document everything nicely, I guess we don't need any JSON here, and all we have to do is MC anonymous. Anonymous. There's another typo here. It's missing the anonymous here. MC anonymous set download alias bucket. Maybe we'll call it internet here. Okay. Need to have anonymous download permissions. Okay. Does this render correctly? Let's see. Markdown preview. Yep, that looks good. Okie dokie. Now let me verify this with my shell history. Yep. I did use MC anonymous set download and then the bucket name. Okay, so the only question is now, how does Discourse actually interact with S3 in terms of serving uploads? Because if we need to get to actually set download permissions, then I'll have to somehow separate backups from uploads, because I really don't want to serve our backups with all the user accounts and everything. So that's something that I need to research. But first, I need to take a quick break, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Hey Tiago, welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow. So, yeah. So if there's one thing we can take away from today's stream is document your stuff, because I just realized that I'm now researching this for the third time. I set the whole cluster up for my Mastodon instance. Then a few months passed by. Then I had to use S3 again as the storage for video fragments for my own cast instance. So I had to research everything all over again. And now I need to do it again for my Discourse instance. And this is going to be the last time that I'm going to have to research this thing, except if Minio changes its CLI. But this is so tedious, frustrating, and embarrassing. This needs to stop here. And Potatoes asks the right questions. Do you have any advice on documenting best way, tool, software? Actually, as you can see, the most important thing is that you do it in the first place. The tool that I'm using, and for that reason can recommend, is Obsidian. It's not open source, unfortunately, but it's very high quality software. It has a huge open source plugin ecosystem, and that makes it very versatile. You can use it for note taking, you can use it for all kinds of stuff. You can people use it for writing novels and books and stuff, and I've actually started using it as my task management system too, and it works quite well. So Obsidian definitely is a good solution. If you don't need something as versatile, anything that basically processes Markdown is fine. This could be a simple GitHub repository where you simply throw in Markdown files and maybe use GitHub pages to serve them, or you simply leave it as a private repository, and GitHub will render the Markdown anyway. You could use open source note-taking software such as Logsec or something like that. It really doesn't matter if you just make it a habit to write things down. Usually I do that, but for some reason, every time I was working with Minio, I was a little bit in a hurry and didn't take the time to document. And that, of course, didn't save me any time, because now I'm going through the motions a third time, researching stuff in a very time-intensive way. And so I should have written down things when I did it the first time, and that would have saved me a lot of work. Not sure what the bot is in there, Balthazar, though. Do you mean your documentation tool should be opinionated? And yeah, using Markdown as your documentation format is, of course, very useful as well. As you can see here, I'm not using Obsidian to access this note, because my Obsidian instance runs on a different workspace, and I didn't want to screw things up here, so I simply opened it in NeoVim, and that works as well. Markdown is really versatile that way, and yeah, I don't see any reason to use anything else. Okay, now, as I said, I need to find out how Discourse actually works with S3 as its uploads storage. Maybe I'll leave this here open for the backups, or is there a link? Yeah, set up file and image uploads to S3. Let's open this in a new tab. So, you want to use S3 to handle image uploads? Yes, I do. Here's the definitive guide, but also see configure an S3 compatible object storage provider for uploads to see how to configure your app.yaml. Okay, that's S3 specific. We can skip that. Creating a policy. That is more or less the same thing I am doing over here. Apparently for Amazon you need quite a few more actions, but that's all. And they too have 2 resource entries, the bucket name itself and then everything under the bucket name. The effect here is allow. Okay, they have another. Wait, what? The effect here is. I see. That's basically the anonymous access, I think. List buckets and list the bucket content on all resources. That's a little bit strange, but since it seems to be specific to AWS, I'm going to ignore that for now. Keep it in mind though. Make sure that these 2 lines contain the actual name of a bucket. Yeah, okay. If you also intend to do S3 buckets, backups, confusing the 2 terms, you can include your backup bucket here too, like this. That's a separate bucket though. Okay. So the same user will have access to the backups bucket too. Yeah, I guess it makes sense to keep those separate then. And then again, you'll create a user account and attach that policy up there to the user. And now discourse. Now that you've probably set up S3, the final step is to configure your discourse forum to use environment variables and a CDN as described. Okay. You need to append a prefix to the bucket name if you want to use the same bucket for uploads and backups. So we would have to use, if we want to have a single bucket, then it's /uploads and /backups. Or we could use the main hierarchy for uploads and then just have a backups subfolder. That's not pretty, I think. I think the different prefixes approach is the best. Just like Mastodon, Discourse also has a rake task that can upload assets that have already been stored locally to S3 to get everything in one place. Unlike many configuration decisions in Discourse, note that using S3 is a one-way door. That is a move that cannot easily be reversed. There is no safe or maintained way to move files out of S3 to be in the local uploads. In particular, the migrate to S3 moves more than just post images to S3 files for which there is no reverse path. Okay. Yeah, but that's fine. Now, as far as I can see, there doesn't have to be an anonymous download policy on the bucket, and that's because apparently Discourse serves all assets itself, fetching them from S3 and then serving them itself, which is also why there is a mention of a CDN. because if discourse has to...
I know this.
Metacon, welcome to the stack. That's a great Twitch name. How you doing? Yeah, that's why you need a CDN to simply take delivery load off discourse itself, since the S3 storage itself doesn't do that. In case of my Mastodon instance, I've set up things that Mastodon actually serves URLs for the asset files that point directly to the object storage, so they don't get served by the very small Mastodon web servers that I'm using. All the assets get served from our object storage. Discourse does apparently not work that way, which is also fine, and lets us keep the bucket closed down, which is also always a nice security improvement. Because serving stuff from buckets that shouldn't serving stuff to the public is such a frequent issue on the internet that I'm happy to not have to open up this bucket to the public. Well. That means we can actually go ahead and create a user and a bucket and attach a policy, and that should be it. And then we can set up uploads to the Minio instance. And then we can see if uploads actually get served or not. Let's do this. Yeah, okay, now this looks like it's properly documented. Okay. Arshad24, hello. Can Django be used for full stack development? I would say yes. I'm not a Python programmer, so I don't have personal experience using Django, but I'm pretty sure it's as capable as, or at least similar to Rails here in the Ruby world. And I don't see why you shouldn't be able to do full stack programming with Django. Everything below Django is the same stack that you'd use with Ruby on Rails. And given that Django can certainly serve everything in a very modern fashion, yeah. And Balthazar has actual experience and can talk from that experience, instead of me just talking about talking out of my behind orifice. Okay, so I'm going to please you with my face while I'm doing stuff behind the scenes. Okay, I need to switch between windows a few times, so let's create the bucket first. Let me see if I can do that without any errors. So we'll need to do mcmb, and then how are we going to call this? Monospace discourse. Ooh, underscore is not allowed? Is that right? Let's, yeah, okay, apparently you need to use a dash. Monospace discourse, bucket created successfully. And then we don't set an anonymous access. Now I need to create my JSON file for this particular bucket. I can reuse an existing file, I think. Thanks, Tiberian. I really like Synthwave, and today I'm playing the Synthwave playlist from what is it called? Is it Harris Heller? Stream Beats. Yeah, Stream Beats. Okay, now let me create my file here, or rather copy this one, policy. We'll call that policy, if I can type policy monospace discourse.json. And now I'll have to edit that. Let me see. That's the usual stuff, and the only thing that's different is the bucket name. I actually did use a strange SID. I did use the generic SID bucket access for user. I'll have to take a look if that's actually viable or if that's a mistake here. Let me see. S3 bucket policy SID. You can provide a SID as an optional identifier for the policy statement. You can assign a SID value to each statement in a statement array. You can use the SID value as a description for the policy statement. In services that let you specify an ID element, which doesn't apply to me because that's AWS services, the SID value is just a sub-ID of the policy document ID.
I know this.
Ahmed Goda, welcome to the stack. Happy to have you. How are you doing on this nice Tuesday afternoon? In IAM, the SID value must be unique within a JSON policy. Yeah, I mean, inside this policy, it's definitely unique. There's a note on the AWS documentation. Some AWS services still doesn't apply, but anyway, might require this element and have uniqueness requirements for it. For service-specific information about writing policies, refer to the documentation for the service you work with. You know what? It doesn't hurt to make this unique, so instead of using bucket access for user, I'm actually going to call this access or bucket access monospace discourse. Okay. And now, let's refresh my memory again. We'll do an import, basically, mcadmin policy create. mcadmin policy create. Is it not mcadmin policy create? Is it MC policy create? No, it's mcadmin. Why does my history not reflect that? It's interesting. Policy create. There is no policy create command. What else is there with policies? Lots of screwing around, I would assume. Strange. Lots of policies set and policy add. Policy add. Oh, is it policy add, not policy create? Did that change? Oh, wait. MC admin. MC admin policy. Yeah, it's not create. How did I... It's not policy create, so it's policy add. That makes more sense, and that's why I don't find anything in my shell history. Now, MC admin policy add. Yep, that looks better. And I called that bucket. Monospace. Discourse. Now I forgot what the name of my file is. It's policy, okay. Let's call this. Let's rename this policy. Okay, MC admin policy add bucket. Okay, policy added, and now I need to set it, which requires, no, attach it. Is it attach? Yes, it is attach. And that gives the user access to the bucket. Okay. So, MC admin policy attach bucket monospace discourse to the user that we haven't created yet. Oops. I was missing that in my documentation. We need to create or add a user. MC admin user add. That needs to be added to the documentation too. So let me maybe simply grab my history here. History, grab MC admin user. Yeah, MC admin user add. And then we have to have a username or user key. I've been using names here. And then I simply created passwords as the secret. Okay. Let's use a pwgen for that. And let's copy that. So MC admin user add, that's monospace discourse, and this key. I also should write this key down. Interesting. I see. I did create a server entry for that, which makes sense. So let's create a new item here. Server. Minio monospace. Discourse. Username is that, and password is not that. Crap. That's going to be hard to copy. How do I grab that? The thing is, my Tmux doesn't copy stuff to the system clipboard anymore. Need to be a little bit inventive here. Okay. I'm not going to do that later, so I'll do SSH. Yeah, but not in this window. Doesn't make any sense. Default terminal. Yep, that should work. SSH root. Okay, that worked. Sorry that I have to do that all behind the scenes. I know it's not very entertaining. So if you want, ask questions or share something that you'd like. If there is anything that tickles your fancy, if you have some kind of an open source software that excites you, or if you found a great tool or something like that, share it in chat. I need you to fill in a little bit while I'm doing stuff here in secret. That's that. Let's copy this, and yep, now it's preserved. We can close this, we can close this. That's nice. We can actually clear the screen here. I did create the user, and I'll have to document that. So let me go to my... oh, I did actually document that. Now I need to attach the policy to the user, and then we're done. Okay, so that's MC admin policy attach monospace discourse -- user. Attach is not a recognized command. Wait, what? It's MC policy? This is really confusing. I wrote MC admin policy. And yes, MC admin policy does exist. MC admin policy. But that's... Yeah, attach. MC admin policy attach should work. Apparently, maybe there's a version conflict or something? Let's see. I used set. Is this deprecated? Let's try set then. Nope, that didn't work either. MC admin policy attach. I think what went wrong is, yeah, I was missing the instance alias. Still not a valid command. Let's try set again. Didn't work either. Wait, it does require a dash user, not a dash user? Huh? Something's not right. This is it. Oh yeah, that the syntax is different than the current documentation. And it only works with a canned policy. Somehow on the wrong track. Give me a second. See admin policy set. Yeah, the bucket didn't exist. Yep, okay. I think these error messages were a little bit confusing, but the syntax is also different than what I wrote down, so let me fix that. And I think we can actually show the screen again. So it's a policy set alias my bucket policy, and that needs to be correct. And then it's user equals access key. And then it works. Okay. I guess we can try and set up Discourse to use S3. Let me see. Self-hosted Minio, yes, works with Discourse. Well, I was hoping so. Now we need to add upload assets and expire missing assets to the rake tasks here. You also need a ZDN to serve what gets stored in the bucket. Do I? Not using a CDN is likely to cause problems and is not supported. Okay. Maybe I can either use a CDN, or maybe it's also possible to simply add a varnish proxy in front of the discourse instance. I mean, a CDN or some kind of a web cache will always help with performance, which I'm going to actually make the topic of a course that I'm going to give at the end of the month. If you go to monospacementor.com and look under courses, there's going to be a varnish course, a varnish master course at the end of the month, where I'm going to teach 13 years of experience with using varnish as a performance boost for websites. And so that might be an option. Let me see. Let's read this through. We have to set up the S3. Use S3 true, all the settings here, bucket name, backup bucket name. Okay, so that's just a subdirectory here in this case, so I'm going to use two separate or suffixes basically, or I'm not sure what's the right term here. And backup location is S32. Let's see, they have Minio. Okay. There are a few caveats and requirements you need to ensure before you can use Minio. Domain support for domain-driven bucket URLs. Do I have that? Bucket subdomains. Oh, I think we don't have that yet. Oh, come on. That's a setback. Now that I've set up everything, turns out it's not going to work out of the box. You have DNS configuration properly set up for Minio so that bucket subdomains properly resolve to the Minio server. And the Minio server is configured with the base domain. I guess that means we need to make a few changes to our web front end of the Minio cluster. It's not going to be too much hassle, but it needs to be done. Then we'll of course need to have the bucket set up. That's already the case. CDN URL points to a properly configured CDN. MX Entras, welcome to the stack. Thanks for the follow. Okay, that will require a little bit more research, I guess. Let me see how the configuration looks like. What the configuration looks like. We'll have, region is anything because our cluster is not really separated into regions. Endpoint is the Minio cluster. We'll have an access key and a secret key. Yeah, set that up already. Then we have a CDN URL, which is then discourse data CDN at example.com. That's a completely different URL then. Here's a bucket name and a backup bucket name. In this example, they are different. Backup location is S3 and install course rule false. Course is still going to be enabled on Minio, even the rule is not installed by the app rebuilder by default, it seems. Course is enabled on all HTTP verbs in Minio, and Minio does not support bucket course as a result. That is a little bit of a gobbledygook for me. Need to research that. So as you can see, self-hosting your S3 storage is a little bit more challenging than simply shooting yourself a bucket from AWS. Domain support is the main thing that we might be missing here. How do they do this actually? Yeah, I think that's mentioned in the Minio documentation, if I remember that correctly. Let's try and find that. Minio domain support. Domain configure. Nope, that's not where I want to look. Core settings. Yeah. Or here, configure Nginx proxy for Minio server. Let's see. Create or configure a dedicated DNS name. Yep. For the Minio server S3 API proxy request to the root. Okay. But they don't have any additional settings for something like a wildcard domain. I guess that's subdomain setup here. Create or configure separate unique subdomains. And for the... Okay, that's separate subdomains for API and web GUI. But that's not what... I'm looking for. Yeah, there's Minio, that's the API, and then there's server name console, that's the web console. Nope, that is not what I'm looking for. I guess I should add bucket to my search. Support for DNS style S3 bucket naming. Okay. Something like that, yeah. Is it virtual host? Yeah, I guess virtual host would be... Seems like I'm not the only one looking for this. By default, Minio supports path style requests. Yeah, okay. Can confirm. If you configure Minio domain, Minio will support both path style and virtual host style requests from the clients. Export Minio domain equals something. Yeah. And do I still have to... Yeah, I would probably have to add a wildcard DNS entry for that my domain. But this causes a course violation on my machine because when I add a second DNS entry to support subdomains, the course pre-flight check passes, but then I only see a description of the bucket, not its contents. Doesn't switch to the virtual host style. Okay. I mean, I guess this should be possible solving this with Nginx, I think, by proxying the subdomains to the path style endpoint. Let me see. Domain. Minio domain. Set to the fully qualified domain name. Minio accepts bucket DNS style requests on. Okay, for example, setting Minio domain equals minio.example.net directs Minio to accept an incoming connection request to the data bucket at data.minio.example.net. So we need a wildcard DNS entry. Enotic D, hello! Welcome to the stack. If this setting is omitted, the default is to only accept path style requests. I'd have to look at our cluster setup, but adding this Minio domain setting shouldn't be much of a problem. And then we'll point the wildcard for our cluster to the cluster address as well. And we'll have to make the Nginx proxy pass all that through. Which it won't do that out of the box, I think. Okay. But yeah, if we set that, that's okay. And then we'll see if we run into course issues or not. Let me see. Discourse documentation did mention course issues, CORB problems actually, but that's with the CDN. Use a host header of the core S3 URL. In this case, discoursedata.minio.example.com. Okay, if we use a CDN, that is. Why do we need a CDN? Let's start wrap up work. Not quite yet, but soon. I think I want to learn a little bit more why Discourse needs to have a CDN. You have DNS configuration properly set up for Minio so that bucket subdomains properly resolved to the Minio server. Yeah, that's just a wildcard entry. And the Minio server is configured with the base domain. We'll have to do that. And in this case, discourse data is the bucket. So if the CDN... Yeah, there's a little bit more to it than is mentioned here. CDN... Wait a second. That's the S3 CDN, which needs to pass stuff through to discourse data minio.example.com. That's not a CDN in front of the discourse server itself, except if we configure that additionally. But that's the S3 CDN. What if I simply set the CDN URL to the bucket URL? I'd have to make the bucket public. And then the object storage could serve assets, of course not the backup files. We'd have to prevent that and maybe simply actually use a separate backups bucket. That would actually help with not having to have a CDN in the first place. Right? How did they do it with other services like Vultr, for example? With original S3, it's bucket here is Falkland files, and the CDN URL is Falkland files. They do use a CDN here as well. Oof. Okay, let's read that. When using object storage, you also need a CDN to serve what's good started. I use SecPath CDN in my testing, and other than needing to set dynamic caching by header, accept encoding, it works okay. Discourse CDN URL is a CDN that points to your Discourse host name and caches requests. It will be used mainly for pullable assets, CSS and other theme assets. Okay, there's Discourse CDN URL. And then there's Discourse S3 CDN URL is a CDN that points to your object storage bucket and caches requests. It will be mainly used for pushable assets, JavaScript images and user uploads. We recommend setting those being different and for admins to set both. Not using a CDN or entering the bucket URL as the CDN URL is likely to cause problems and is not supported. I wonder why that is. I guess that's the central statement here. Likely to cause problems and is not supported. Right. Oh, I haven't set up a readwise highlighter here. Okay. Okay, in the following examples, Falkland files CDN is a CDN configured to serve the files under the bucket. Bucket name was set to Falkland files. Is recommended because it's how CDCK does it in their infrastructure, so it's well tested. Also, the task to upload assets happen after assets are compiled, which happens in a rebuild. If you want to spin a discourse that works properly with object storage since the beginning, you need to set the environment parse so the assets are uploaded before the site starts, which I guess is the situation we are in because the community hasn't been launched yet, and there haven't been any uploads so far. Okay. I'm developing a slight headache here. But it's almost 5 o'clock anyway, so let's get this at least understood, if not implemented. Domain support enabled shouldn't be a problem, we just need to set the environment variable. Then DNS to resolve properly, yep, that's also easy. And then we'll have to have a Discourse CDN and an S3 CDN. Yeah, it's good, but it's not great. And it's probably also because this is an unexpected roadblock, and I thought I would be done and would only have to set a few environment variables and and have the whole S3 integration finished, but that's actually not the case. So I'm also a little bit miffed about that. Oh, I don't mind them using Discourse itself as the documentation platform. It's again just Markdown in the background, and I do intend to write a lot of stuff for the Monospace community in Discourse as well. I think the main problem is that they are just a little bit too terse here. I think if you think things through and connect all the dots, then it does make sense. But I guess they could connect the dots for you, and that would make things a lot easier. Exegete. That is amazingly terrible. I hope I can remember that. My main problem is that I really can appreciate jokes like that. I can tell jokes like that. The only problem is that I can't remember them in between. I probably should write... You know what? I'm going to write this down. I think I actually have a dad jokes note in my Obsidian, so you see, you need to document everything. Let me actually switch on soft wrap mode for you. Save and saved. I actually have no idea why this note has an ID attribute, but that's probably because it's a really old note, and it has an alias that's identical to the note name. That does not make any sense either. Oops, it's Obsidian itself that sets these. Wait, why? How very strange. Okay. A dad joke of the day calendar. You know what? My birthday is coming up, and I think that's exactly what I'm going to request. Taburian, you and me both. I've been dealing with computers since I was 14, and I still am struggling. So, yeah. CDN. Really not happy that I'll have to have a CDN. On the other hand, why not? I don't have a policy against CDNs, and it might add to my experience as well. Analyzed code, welcome to the stack, good to have you. What am I doing? I am setting up S3 as the storage backend for my newly created Monospace Mentor community, which is based on the Discourse open source forum software. And Discourse supports S3 object storage, both for storing asset files and to store backups, which is very nice. And I've already set up my own S3. It's called Minio. It's another open source software that allows you to build a S3 compatible object storage. I did actually set this up as a 3-node cluster for my Mastodon instance, which I'm running at geekdom.social. But Discourse has a few additional requirements that our setup here doesn't yet meet. And yeah, I've been trying to wrap my head around what is actually necessary on top of what we already have, which was almost giving me a headache. And but now I think we've narrowed it down that we'll probably have to add a little bit to the Minio cluster. So it supports subdomains, which shouldn't be too difficult. But then we'll also have to set up a CDN that basically adds an abstraction layer on top of the S3 or Minio storage. And that's what I'm going to have to do next, which is probably going to be on Thursday afternoon, because it's almost 5 o'clock here. So I'm pretty spent from reading documentation all the time. So this was a very learning-oriented stream, not live coding, just a little bit of live administration, and even that had to happen behind the scenes because I was dealing with secrets all over the place. Yeah, I hope you will learn a lot from this stream, because that's exactly what this stream is all about. This is actually what Monospace Mentor, the business that I'm in the process of getting off the ground, is all about. If you like, you can take a look at our community page, which gives you a little bit of an indication what I'm in the process of building here. And thanks for the follow. There was again no alert. I'm sorry for that. That is a failure of Stream Elements. I think they haven't been too reliable lately. I'm not too happy about that. Maybe I need to build something myself here. So yeah, I think now that we've clarified what needs to be done, I can actually prepare a few things, and then we'll do that on Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock UTC, which happens to be my local time here in Ireland as well. And so I guess that's it for today. I think we should take a look if we can raid someone. Bethesda says you could always use Finite Singularity's Tau project. Yeah. But that would require me to, I think, do a lot of coding myself, and I got a lot of on my plate already as it is. So I think if I do actually build something myself, it'll probably just be something with Atom, which is a nice little automation application that I'm running in the background that is already serving a few things. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe Stream Elements will get their act together and save me from doing anything at all. We'll see. So yeah, who are we going to raid? Let me take a look at my following list. Apart from the already aforementioned Finite Singularity, who else is there? I think we haven't raided Christoph_IT yet, who is building a static site generator in Zig, which is also quite an interesting programming language that's pretty new. And I think, yeah, that's something that we could do. So let me take a look if Christoph is still going. Has been going for 2 hours now. So yeah, I think that's who we're going to raid. Let's prepare that. All right, folks. So that's it for today. Thanks for all the help. Thanks for the chatting. Thanks for asking questions. That's always great. I'm happy to explain stuff. And we'll see each other, hopefully, on Thursday. I'm going to end the stream and start the raid now. Thanks, everyone. And until next time, take care.